Alright folks, welcome back to the channel. I am under the canopy right now because the skies are supposed to open up and do what else but rain. Rain, rain, rain. That has been the theme this year here in the Adirondacks. It's turning into a rainforest, I swear. But I am at my favorite spot in the whole wide world, Horseshoe Lake. Now I'm on a site that I don't normally get. Normally you see me on site 2 down here, but site 2 is closed because they're doing some construction and they have a number of sites closed up here, so there isn't very many open. I lucked out because the people that were here were just leaving and I managed to score the site. But today's video, we're going to talk a little bit over the last couple of years. I've tried out a couple of different heat sources, and because up here in northern Adirondacks it can get cold, stay cold late in the season and get cold early in the season. And I've tried out 2 heat sources. I'll tell you the pros and the cons of both. So follow along. Alright everybody, welcome back to the channel. If this is your first time watching, make sure you hit the subscribe button down below to continue to follow my adventures. But today we're going to talk about heat. You know, being in the northern Adirondacks, sometimes the season lingers all the way into June. A couple times I've been out in inlet New York and it's been snowing on Father's Day. And it's not unheard of to be in the Moose River Plains and have it be 83 degrees out during the day and 38 degrees at night. So there's huge temperature swings here. Now when I was a younger guy, you know, we could get bundled up and the cold didn't bother me as much. But now as I get older, I like some heat. Now when it's cooler out, I sleep like a baby up there. I have a nice comforter in the camper that keeps me warm. There's been plenty of times that I've woken up and the camper's at 30, 31 degrees, and outside it's 24, 25 degrees. Plenty of times that has happened. But as I get older, I want some heat. And so, being off-grid, I have a small solar system. And that system allows me enough power throughout the night to maybe watch a little bit of TV and charge my phone and give me some lights. But it will not run my furnace all night long. And so it's been a challenge to come up with a heat source that does not require power. But I found 2, and I've been using them off and on when I needed them over the last couple of years. And now I'm ready to make a decision between the 2 of them, which one I like going forward. But there's a system I added this year that may change everything. But anyways, I started out with a buddy heater. And that's what this is right here. Now this buddy heater worked fantastic. I could set it up in the back of the camper here and run a hose out the back window to a little tank like this, and it would heat all night long beautifully. It would keep the camper between 55 and 60 degrees, just perfect. Now I did crack a window to keep some ventilation in there, and always want to have a working smoke detector and a working carbon monoxide detector when you use these appliances. But the buddy heater will go through this tank in about 2 nights, and that's about 8 hours a night, maybe up to 10, because I do run this on low. One of these little containers like this will only last about 4 hours. This will last about 20 hours. If you get a tank, the 20-pound barbecue tank that most grills take, you can get upward to 60 hours out of that tank. And that was nice. And you want to have the hose and a filter when you run the hose for the buddy heater. But the buddy heater worked out well. The one drawback, condensation. Oh my God, now propane, it's condensation. We'd get up in the morning and the windows would be just the condensation dripping down the windows. I would have to take towels and wipe the windows off, because what's the #1 killer of RVs? Water. You don't want water penetration. And there was, that buddy heater would just create so much condensation that I ended up using it in a way where I would start it up and run it for like 3 hours and then shut it off, and I would keep track of the humidity in the camper. And once the humidity started getting up to 60–70%, I would shut the heater off and then turn it on before I go to bed, get the temperature back up again. And being an RV, it's not well insulated. This camper does have what they call the Arctic package or the climate package on it, where it's supposed to have a little bit more insulation, but really, honestly, it's not insulated very well. And plus, the windows are not thermal pane windows in these RVs, and so it is hard to hold the heat in these rigs. So I would have to get up sometime during the night, and I would turn it on and leave it on for a couple of hours, then get up and turn it off again, just to keep the condensation down. And it was nice to have the heat, but it turned into a pain in the ass, on and off with the buddy heater all night long. But it did a great job of keeping the camper between 55 and 60 degrees. A couple years ago, I put out a video of where I was trying a new heat source, and that was the kerosene heater that is right here. Now, this kerosene heater takes clear kerosene, and the reason why I only use clear kerosene on this instead of the pink kerosene is because there's no odor with the clear. No odor that I had detected. Now, I used these type of heaters before. Back in 1998 during the ice storm, I acquired one of those heaters, one of the bigger ones, to heat my house, because I didn't have anything. I was not prepared at all. I didn't have a generator, no backup heat source. My pantry only had a couple days worth of food. It was a terrible situation for me. It was all on me, because I was too busy spending my money on toys, four-wheelers, campers, motorcycles, all that good jazz, and instead of worrying about preparing my household. That changed after the ice storm. So I used one of those heaters for about 25 days, and I liked it. It worked out pretty well. But the only kerosene I could get at the time was the pink kerosene. So it did give off an odor, and I didn't really care for that. But if you can get the clear kerosene and stay with it, there's no odor. So when I saw this little kerosene heater here, and it's little, it's not very big, you know, 26 inches or so tall, and maybe a foot wide, and I thought, that would probably be very good for the camper. So I bought it. It was on sale for like $90, and I bought it, and I loved it. When I started using it, it creates so much heat that I can keep the door open over here and just have the screen door open, because this thing is just putting out the heat. It will keep the camper, if I close up the camper and crack a window, it will put the camper over 75 degrees easily. But the main thing that I loved about this kerosene heater, no condensation. Now, sometimes when the temperature got really, really cold, down into the lower teens, with the heat in the camper, you might get a little bit of condensation on the windows. But it wasn't like running that buddy heater and it's just pouring down the windows. So the nice thing about this was, like I said, I could have that running and have this door open, and it would keep the camper easily on a 25 degree day. It would keep the camper at 55, 60 degrees, just perfect in there. And if I closed up the camper, it would get really hot. So basically what I did the last time I was out, it was, I don't know, right around 16 degrees. And I had that running in the camper, and it kept the camper at 62, 63 degrees, and I had a couple of windows open. So I had great ventilation, and it worked out well. And I really loved how that kerosene heater worked. Now, the wrinkle that I threw in is, by now you've seen the video I have of my oops, and this is my first summer with it. I don't have any solar to charge it up, and my present solar panels are too small for it. So how I'm running that system is during the day, I'm running my old solar system to run the things that I need, and then at night I'm running off the oops. Now this past spring was my first spring with the oops, and I haven't needed it really since, but I used a furnace in the camper to keep the camper between 58 and 62 degrees. That's where I set the thermostat, 60 degrees, and it worked well. With the furnace on board the camper, I have no condensation because it's a vented system. It vents out right here, and this furnace would come on probably, depending on how cold it was. I think night one it was about 28 degrees, and the furnace would come on maybe about every 45 minutes. And as the next night was about 23 degrees, and it was about every 35 minutes. And then the last night it was about 18 degrees or so, and the furnace came on about every 30 minutes. And there was some points during the night where it would come on maybe every 20 minutes, but it kept the camper nice. And with that oops power station, I can run everything in the camper and not have to worry about running out of power. I can run my coffee maker, I can run the microwave if I want to. But my first 3 nights out with that, I wanted to take it out, run the furnace, and see how well it did. And that is the wrinkle I throw in right now. So going forward, what am I going to use? I'm going to use the oops, the main power system, to run my furnace. I know it will run my furnace all night long, and other things that I want to do. My backup though is going to be my kerosene heater going forward. I'm going to carry that in the rig. I got a compartment for it that it fits into perfect. I can carry some fuel. The one thing though about the fuel is this holds maybe not quite 3/4 of a gallon of kerosene, and one of these gallons cost about $14–15 for a gallon. That's right, not cheap. And so the tank that is on there will probably last about, depending how you keep the flame, 8 hours easily, but you can get up to 10 hours with it. And it worked out great with it. So going forward, like I say, I'm going to use my power station, the oops power station, to run my furnace on those really cold nights. And if I have an issue with that, something happens, that will be my backup heat source. And I'm carrying a couple gallons of this on board. So the pros and cons of my heaters right now, like I said, the oops is going to be number 1 to run my furnace. That's number 2. What am I going to do with the butter heater? I'm going to keep my butter heater. I'll find a use for it, but probably I'm not going to be carrying it much longer on the camper here, because that space is going to become a premium as time goes on. I have a video out where my future with the oops power station, where I would like to put it and how I would like to keep it charged. So, but that's heating in the Northern Adirondacks. Kerosene, propane, which one was better? The kerosene one. Goes through more fuel, but it's a better heat with no condensation. Alright folks, you watched all the way through. Thanks for that. If you liked the video, make sure to give me a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed, click the subscribe button down below. Continue to follow the adventure. And remember, folks, tomorrow is no guarantee for any one of us. So disconnect from that Wi-Fi, connect to this out here. You won't be disappointed.